everybody, and welcome to News Now. Pilar Arias, I'm your host for the day. Skyfox currently over the scene of an evacuated Walmart. At least that's the reports that we are getting in El Mirage off of Dysart and Thunderbird. You for sure see all the officers' vehicles there, and Skyfox actually just zoomed in on a group of people that look like they could have been employees. So we are continuing to monitor the situation. When and if we learn anything new, we will for sure bring them to you. But right now, I want to come out to me and Ron Hoon. Ron, happy Friday.
Yes, no kidding, Pilar.
How are you?
Just great.
Good, good.
You know, a busy news day in the news business is it certainly keeps us hopping. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Plus, we're in store for looks like another really beautiful day. These temps in the 95 to 100 degree range have just been beautiful.
Yeah, it could be a lot worse, right?
It could. And matter of fact, it could be 108 by Sunday. But hopefully, we don't have any more 110s.
Right. I think we're out of that ballpark now. At least I'm hoping. My fingers are crossed.
Yes. Yeah, for sure.
All right, Ron, let's get to some of the top stories. This breaking one from overnight, the 34th officer-involved shooting here involving Phoenix police.
You know, and Jerry Williams, the police chief, was out at the hospital, at the medical facility in the late night hours, asking people to, once again, pray for our brave men and women in blue who are out there every day, not knowing what danger might lurk around the next corner or the next call that they go on. I actually remember, Pilar, back, this would have been, I bet you 20 years ago, when a police officer was shot and killed, and the shock that this community dealt with for months in the aftermath.
Yeah.
His name was Mark Atkinson, and we covered the funeral extensively. And I'm not sure why. I mean, you'd have to bring on all kinds of experts, but we just have more people showing such a level of hate, really, for police officers, or disrespect, that it is really hard to figure what's going on here. So you had an officer trying to do a simple traffic stop. In fact, you could see right there where he had his lights on. Well, what he didn't realize at first, anyway, was that this suspect, this particular guy, was armed. The thing is, even after being hit by gunfire, he was able to return fire.
Yes.
So we keep our eye on the hospital there. We had our Anita Roman out reporting live, but once again, it was another violent night in our city, and once again, you have hundreds of officers who are out there on patrol in Phoenix, Mesa, Scottsdale, Glendale, all the largest, right down to the smallest communities in our area. And every night they face danger, and yet go to work to try to keep our streets safe.
Yes, last night's officer involved was critically injured in that shootout, and it happened around 8 o'clock in the area of Cactus and Cave Creek. Both the officer and suspect were taken to a hospital, and the suspect is in critical condition as well.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, so again, we have been watching events unfold at the hospital in great detail over the last several hours. We just hope at this point that we can, hopefully, at some point as the day goes on, pass along a little better information once we get an update.
All right, moving along. The president just got to New York, and he greeted everybody there once he got off of Air Force One. He's going to be spending the weekend in Bedminster, New Jersey. Mm-hmm. And he's been saying that he's been taking these weekend trips because, they're doing some work on the White House.
Yeah, sure. But, the interesting thing is, I guess it's pretty hot and muggy this time of year in Florida, so he doesn't spend a lot of time going to Mar-a-Lago. I think those trips will probably fire back up in about October. But hey, life's pretty good if you own a few golf courses. So, the interesting thing about it is, you make a quote, business trip along the way, and he has stopped out on Long Island, New York.
Yes.
We've been following events there. And eventually, you're right, he is going to end up at Bedminster, which, that first came to the fore in the days before he even took office, before his inauguration, because that's where he kind of holed up and started to have all those meetings. Trump Tower as well, but a lot of meetings were going on there in Bedminster as a long parade of people who he was interviewing for key positions, either in the White House, or at cabinet level, etc. That's where a lot of those original meetings happened. and yet there's been a lot of turnover. You know,
Yeah.
we've reported on that in the past, but he did say about 3 months ago, I feel like I'm just now getting to the point where I have the team in place that I really want to have in place.
Yeah, so this week the Senate got back to work. There was actually several committee hearings yesterday. One of them having to do with protecting unaccompanied immigrant children from sex trafficking and abuse.
Yes.
Human trafficking at that. So we were following that very closely. And then, you know, this Manafort trial, we're waiting for that.
That was, now Pilar, in just a moment, I know you're going to be sharing the entire comments that the president made. By the way, you know, this is totally at his discretion.
Right.
Is he going to stop and run over and say a quick hello? There are always some people in the crowd. And when you're at a military location and you're going to have members of the U.S. military, you know, when he canceled the parade, he said, they're trying to basically hold us up to way too high of a price. They're not going to take advantage of us, talking about the city of Washington.
Yep.
So he said, now maybe we can buy some more fighter jets with the money that we otherwise would have spent.
Yeah.
And so he does really value his time, I think, both with leaders of the military and rank and file members.
Yeah, absolutely. But most of the time, I feel like when he's departing Washington, when he's leaving the White House,
Yep.
most of the time he just waves at media and just keeps going and then waves once he gets to the top of the stairs at Air
That's
Force
right,
One.
that's sure.
But I feel like every time he arrives somewhere, he does greet the people waiting for him there.
You know, his aides have reportedly said it's so good for him to just get out, and whether it's a you know, just out at one of his campaign style rallies or whether he's just out there shaking hands, I would think that's got to be the case, no matter who the president is.
Yeah.
No matter how beloved or reviled he is by the media, it's still, I would think, a really good thing to just get out there and have a chance to just talk with folks who, you know, your policies are impacting their lives.
Shake some hands, take some pictures.
Kiss some babies.
That's the phrase I was looking for. Hey, Ron, really quickly here, I want to show the stock market. Were you paying attention yesterday to how it did?
Oh, I was, and I kept waiting to see if it was going to fall, and it never did. It started
just
strong and just kept rolling.
Green and green and green, and then
Yeah.
I think it ended up around 400 points.
Yeah, 396 is the exact number. And don't ask me why that number's embedded into my brain, but we were live with our friend Tracy Carrasco earlier this morning with the Fox Business Network, and I asked her, I said, well, so I was really looking to see what was it. I do think part of it is, and when the market gets in what the analysts would say is an oversold condition, because as earnings keep going up, at some point stock prices can't keep going down.
Right.
There's just too much value there. So you got that going on. You got a little bit of relief that there are reports that the U.S. and China, the two world's largest economies, are going to get serious about talks in the coming weeks.
Yep.
People are relieved about that. Multiple reports that the United States and Mexico are getting close to announcing a major
NAFTA.
rework NAFTA,
Yep.
at least with those two countries. Canada apparently not part of that, but at least with the U.S. and Mexico, and that's big because you know, the president put illegal immigration, the wall, business relations with Mexico, job loss, all of that was one of the major things he spent his time talking about on the campaign.
Yeah.
So if something's going to come through on that, I think a little bit of a relief there for the market. And then according to Tracy, she said that Walmart had come out with their earnings and that they were a lot better than people were thinking. And I said to her, I think that we're finally able to move past the age of retail panic.
Yeah.
Where, you know, I guess some people thought the entire retail world was going to crumble, and you could only ever buy anything from Amazon again.
Yeah.
Now look,
it
they're
was
big.
like that for a while.
You know, they're big, and if you like using them, you love them. But Walmart has sort of drawn a line in the sand and said, we're going to be a major in your town, in your neighborhood retail presence. We're also going to have a good, strong online presence. There have been some other retailers in recent weeks that have reported really good earnings too. So I think that actually was a pretty big sigh of relief.
I want to ask again really quickly here. This year was the first time we'd surpassed the 25,000 mark, right?
Well, let's see. Yeah, right. Correct. Because didn't we peak in like February? I believe so.
Are we getting close here to 26? What do you think?
26,200, I believe, is the all-time high. So yeah, we're within about 600 points of it. And, you know, there's an old phrase that's been around forever regarding Wall Street, and it says the market climbs a wall of worry. There are always so many things, if you chose to, that you could worry about. But guess what? American ingenuity and the economic engine that is the United States of America is still the is the bright star in the world when it comes to the economy. We're still we're still quite a bit larger than the number 2 economy, and our businesses are really thriving. So despite all the daily ups and downs of political headaches and headlines, the overall business is pretty darn good.
Yeah. Have you ever seen the bull or been to the New York Stock Exchange?
I have been to the New York Stock Exchange.
I haven't been inside. I just was outside. But yeah, I saw the bull too when I was in New York and took a picture. It's pretty cool.
Years ago, gosh, it was back in the 1980s, the TV station here actually sent me back. We actually got to go down on the floor.
Wow.
Not just up there on that podium, where they ring the bell and all that kind of thing. We got down on the floor, and it was really fun. Super high energy. Those are some type A personalities, let me tell you.
All right, Ron. So this next story here, you know about this one, Southwest.
Yeah.
What are they doing?
Well, the headline came out that said that they had decided to move forward with another animal, miniature horses, on the list of acceptable comfort animals.
But weren't they just in the news also again this week for banning or for eliminating the number, and now the mini horse? That's what I'm kind of confused
Yeah, I know. So we are going to check a little bit more on this because...
The background story. We're working on it.
Yeah. Well, basically, and I'm going to quote straight from our sister station in the number 1 market in New York, Fox 5. And it says that they did announce the policy change this week, that miniature horses, along with dogs and cats, will be accepted on board. Passengers, you do have to provide credible verbal assurance that the animal is trained as a service animal. But see, verbal assurance?
Right. That's what I'm
so
saying.
they ask and you say yes? I don't know. Anyway, they also said they're going to formally accept the psychiatric support animals, PSAs, as trained service animals after accepting them informally in the past. So basically what has happened is people have felt there might have been an abuse of this system. We had the lady with her peacock and other situations. So this airline at least said, let's really take a good hard look at it and come up with some with some good hard guidelines and an official policy going forward.
Have you ever flown with an animal? Ever?
No.
Me neither. And it's not that I'm afraid of it. I feel like I just kind of don't know like the policies and like how it works. I know you have to have a crate that fits like under the seat in front of you. It's kind of like your carry-on.
Right.
Because do they still put them in underneath the plane?
How do you do that with a miniature horse? You can't, you got to have the horse right there with you.
Right.
I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how that particular situation plays out. Cats and dogs, especially a little kitty cat, that's going to sleep on your lap, seems like no big whoop.
Ron, this segue is perfect, by the way. One quick little talker before we wrap up our segment this Friday.
Yeah.
It's Black Cat Appreciation Day.
Yeah, I know. I keep hearing people talk about it. I just don't know how to celebrate. Have you figured
it out?
it out?
A black cat.
Oh, you do?
I do. He's 10 years old.
Okay.
I love him to death.
Yes.
And
what's his name?
Monkey.
Monkey.
And that's because the background story, people ask me all the time, why did you name him that? Well, I had a friend who came over because when I got him, he was smaller than my hand.
Oh, gosh.
And he had like big paws, big ears, big eyes. And my friend was like, he looks like a little monkey.
Gosh. Okay, so this goes 10 years back.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. He turned 10 in April.
People who may not know, Pilar, we got her hired out of Texas, out of San Antonio, but she is straight out of the valley, born and raised, and went to, was it Westwood High?
I did in Mesa, yes.
Yep. So.
And Arizona State and NAU. I started at NAU first, and then I transferred.
And somewhere along the line, Monkey the black cat became part of the family.
He's been with me everywhere. I love him. I actually did post a picture on my Twitter and Facebook too, if anybody wants to check that out.
Cool.
All right, let's head to the White House now. We were talking about that work. Hey, Ron, thanks for joining us today. And more news now is just moments away.